Just to wake up in the morning to the quiet of the cove and hear Aunt Bessie talking to herself, and to hear poor Uncle John mumbling wishes to old Nell. It made me feel like everything was fine. I was born down by the water, it's here I'm gonna stay. I've searched for all the reasons why I should go away, but I haven't got the thirst for all those modern day toys, so I'll just take my chances with those saltwater joys. Following a little brook as it trickles to the shore in the autumn when the trees are flaming red, kicking leaves that fall around me, watching sunset paint the hills. It's all I'll ever need to feel at home. This island that we cling to has been handed down with pride by folks who fought to live here, taking hardships all in stride. So I'll compliment her beauty, hold on to my goodbyes, and I'll stay and take my chances with those saltwater joys. How can I leave those mornings with the sunrise on the cove and the gulls like flies surrounding Clayton's wharf? Platter's Island wrapped in rainbow in the evening after fog. The ocean smells are perfume to my soul. Some go to where the buildings reach to meet the clouds, where warm and gentle people turn to swarming faceless crowds. So I'll do without their riches, glamour and the noise, and I'll stay and take my chances with those saltwater joys. Some go to where the buildings reach to meet the clouds, where warm and gentle people turn to swarming faceless crowds. So I'll do without their riches, glamour and the noise, and I'll stay and take my chances with those saltwater joys.
Good evening, and welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight in our stories we have Mitten tree items, the Santa Claus parade, toques for the homeless, no sense is good sense, internet update. Please stay tuned for these stories after this.
Dear Children's Wish Foundation of Canada, thank you for sending me Rory the Lion. That means I'm going to get my wish, and that makes me really, really happy. Yesterday he was sad, but I told him it's okay, Rory, only 2 more needles until my wish. I will send you pictures from the top of the Rocky Mountains. Love, Emily.
Imagine the difference a wish can make. Click on childrenswish.ca and give today.
The annual mitten tree at the Anglican Church came down on Sunday. Items gathered from this project will be sent to the Art of the Nations Church in Montreal. Items collected this year were 178 pairs of socks, 60 caps, 9 sweaters, 18 pairs of slippers, 107 pairs of mitts, 13 scarves, and 8 mittens and cap sets, for a total of 393 items collected. The Outreach Committee of the Anglican Church would like to thank everyone who donated to this worthwhile cause. The Lions' annual Santa Claus parade was held on Sunday. The parade consisted of a variety of floats. ATVs, and clowns. The winning floats were: first place was Ground Search and Rescue. Second place was the Elk Committee. Third place was the Fire Department. The winning ATV was by E.J. Scott. The BBS Christmas tree was also lit that night. The cadets played Christmas tunes. while Santa gave out treats to the children. At 6 o'clock, the tree was lit and cadets played Old Christmas Tree. The local bank has begun a fundraiser called Raising the Roof. They are selling toques to raise money for the homeless. Raising the Roof was created in 1997 in response to a growing awareness that homelessness in Canada has reached crisis proportions. The toques are selling for $10 each and can be purchased at your local bank. For more information on Raising the Roof, visit www.raisingtheroof.org or visit your local bank. Try Your Luck and Play TV Bingo on Wednesday, sponsored by the Guiding Movement. Cards are 6 for $5 and can be bought from any member of the Guiding Movement or in most stores around town. I spoke with Dave Macdonald regarding a few internet issues. Good evening, Dave. You got some things you want to talk about on the internet for us?
I got some little small stuff that I want to point out. I was gone, well, Sunday night there was a power outage, and early Monday morning I left, went out of town, and I got back here Thursday lunchtime. And I think there was another little brief power outage on Tuesday. But it seems like every time there's a power outage, a number of people lose their internet connection and don't get it back until they call me. But what I want to do is explain to you what happens and why you lose your internet connection or whatever. Obviously, when the power's gone, you're not going to have any internet. But when the power comes back on, you should be able to get back on the internet, even if I'm not around. So, but what I want to point out is some people have these radios, and some people have these radios. So either way, it doesn't really matter which radio you have. But if you take the power out of the power component, take it out and plug it back in, that you'll see that the lights come on. One light comes on first, then they all come on, then they go off, then they come on again, and then they set lit, then you got your internet connection. That takes maybe 2 minutes. Sometimes when you're waiting it seems longer. But some people in their houses, and this one here, basically the same thing, the lights come on here. So when the power comes on, all the lights comes on, then they go off and they come back on again and they set lit. Well, some people in Burgeo have, and Ramio, all the other places, they have more than one computer in their house. And in order to have the more than one computer in the house, that you have to use a router. And what a router does, doesn't matter if you're using this one or this one, but a router splits the signal so that you can use it for multiple computers in the house. Not a big deal. So there's two things I want to point out about that. Is if you're splitting the signal, so obviously the internet speed is controlled by this guy. So if it comes in and you have 3 computers hooked up in your house and 3 of you guys are on download movies and songs, you're not going to get the same speed. So it's all controlled by this guy. But what I want to point out is with this guy here, like if you have your computer running and you're surfing the net, and in the bedroom your children are downloading a movie and they're getting 30K per second, then obviously you're not going to get the same speed when you're on the internet itself. So those are things that sometimes happen. Like kids will start downloading a movie or a song and stuff, leave their computer running and off you go. Meanwhile, the kid is outdoors somewhere and you're on the internet thinking the internet's all slow and stuff. Well, sometimes it's slow because you're downloading a movie or a song, or your kid is in the bedroom, and that affects the other computer. So that's if you're sharing computers and stuff like those. But that's a different issue altogether. But back to the power issue. This thing takes about 2 minutes before it's all powered up. And sometimes, like I had a few phone calls there yesterday, was all the lights are on, and they still couldn't get on the internet. Now, those of you that have a router in your house that's splitting it amongst computers, that this thing comes on right away. Okay? So what happens is you got everything plugged into a power wire, the power goes off, the power comes back on, and it all comes on at the same time. So when it comes on at the same time, this thing takes 2 minutes to start up. This comes on right away. And as soon as it comes on, it starts looking for an IP address or a connection to our system. Well, when it's looking for a connection, this guy is still starting up because it takes a little longer to start up. And this guy is looking for an internet connection and can't get one. It'll only try 3 or 4 times, but after a while it says, oh, I can't get an internet connection, and it'll stop trying. So then a minute later, this one's all powered up and ready to go. This guy has no internet connection. Even though all the lights are on, this guy has no internet connection. Therefore, your computer doesn't have any internet connection.
Okay.
So the procedure is to do it this way. And it has to be done in this order. Power comes on to this guy. You wait until all the light settles out. And then you put the power on this guy. All the lights comes on, everything's okie-dory. Then you turn on your computer. If you turn all three of them on at the same time, it won't work. It might work sometimes, but this is the way you have to do it. And it has to be this guy, and then the computer. The other thing that I've noticed is that some people, I don't know how they did it or why they did it, but this is a router. It's used to connect up 4 computers in your household. Mm-hmm. There's a WAN port here, or internet port. This is the one that goes to this guy, and then your computers all get hooked up through here. This one here has the capability of hooking up 4 computers. Mm-hmm. Some people out there have the wire that comes out of this guy plugged in here, in 1, 2, 3, or 4. Mm-hmm. You won't get on the internet. If you do, it's pretty lucky, but it shouldn't. It has to go into, most of them have them marked as WAN, W-A-N, so if you look carefully, there's W-A-N marked on there, and that's where it has to be plugged in. Okay. Right? So that's the connection. Now, 2 or 3 today I've spoken to this morning, they haven't had any internet since Sunday because the power was off Sunday evening around 8:30 or so, and they haven't had any internet until this morning. And all I did was power off, and told them how to do it. So if you're out there, I'm not always in Burgeo. Like this past week, I was in Lapoil for 3 days. So if I'm gone, the power blinks, and you still can't get on the internet. The first thing that I would recommend is check the lights on the radio. If the lights are on the radio, quick little reset of this, take the power off, put the power back on, restart your computer. The other thing that happens is sometimes if the internet connection is down and your computer is connected to the radio and it loses its internet connection, what happens is, and particularly in Windows XP, the computer will disable the network card. Okay. And when the computer disables the network card, you're not getting on the internet until you enable the network card. And what some people do, like if you restart your computer, sometimes the computer will re-enable the network card, but lots of times it don't. So what you have to do is go under, says in Windows XP in particular, go under Settings, Control Panel, go to Network Connections, Local Area Connections, right-click on it and say Enable. And when you say enable, it will say looking for an IP address, and once it gets an IP address, off it goes. And that's another thing that happens sometimes, like if I'm not around, so I've had a lot of phone calls that this is what's wrong, it's in your computer. So we've got over 400 people on the internet now, and it's very rare that if the lights are on this guy, that you can't get an internet connection. If you can't get the internet connection, 9 chances out of 10, it's in the computer itself or the router, and those are the 2 #1 problems that keeps cropping up. If we are aware, Burgeo Broadcasting System, if we are aware that the internet is down because the power is off up in Rose Blanche or Grand Brit or anything along those lines, we normally put it scrolling along the bottom. So if your internet is down for any amount of time and there's nothing on Channel 10 saying it's letting you know why it's down, just a quick call to my office, 2177, let me know that the internet is down, and I'll do what I can to get it fixed. So other than that, that's one of the things that the number of people that I've been talking to for the last couple of days didn't have the internet all week, and this is primarily why. They were sharing at Max computers and stuff. So in the future, you can still call, but those people could have had their internet Sunday night after power come back on if they had reset the router in that order. Radio, router, computer. Okay. And before you turn this on, you had to make sure the lights are on here the way it's supposed to be.
And you said it takes about 2 minutes.
Approximately 2 minutes, right? Sometimes it seems like 10 when you're waiting, but when all the lights settle out, then that's it. Okay. So, and that's the same thing. Like this is equipment, it gives out over time. And what I'm finding is that instead of this, like a lot of electronic equipment, when it gives out, it gives out. What I'm finding is these guys here and these guys, they don't normally just give out. They start acting up and resetting themselves, and they'll do that for a week or 2 weeks before they finally give up the ghost and stop working. So if you're having problems with your internet and seeing that you're getting disconnected all the time, you're on MSN Messenger and you keep getting signed out and stuff along those lines, you should check the lights on here. And remember, we've done this many times, you have to have it, at the very least, power light, wireless link light, and a low light. Those three lights had to be on solid all the time. If you see the wireless link and the low light blinking, there's something wrong, either with your radio or something wrong in the tower, right? And so we've talked about that many times. And the same thing with this guy. You have to have the power light on and the low light. Those two lights have to be on. And if they're not on, then there's something wrong. The other thing that I point out is right here on the bottom, when the cord is plugged in, there's a yellow light and a green light, I think.
Yes.
If those lights are not on, it indicates either a problem with your cable, which that very rarely happens, or your network card is disabled in your computer. So when this light comes on, then you know it's working, or your computer's working. It should be working. But those lights had to be on as well. And the same thing on this guy, the lights are on here, so that's where the cable plugs in the back, right? So, any more questions?
Is there much difference in the two radios?
Nope, nope. This is one's the 1D and this one's 1D, same thing. Just these are a little older and these are a little newer. Same. Same type of radio, form same function. Okay. Right?
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for giving us our update.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
And remember, wear red on Fridays. Support our troops.
This concludes our programming for tonight. Please stay tuned after this program for the Emmett's Otters Jug Band Christmas. Thank you for watching. Good night.